Good evening and welcome to our regularly scheduled Select Board meeting of Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. It is a time of 7:02. If we could all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on our agenda tonight is the Supreme Pizza for a common vicular license, and I believe we have someone here to speak on that. Yep, right there, please.
Hello, my name's Sean Driscoll. I recently purchased Supreme Pizza on Main Street. A little about me, my wife Courtney and I just had our first son, Joe, 9 months ago. I'm from Walpole originally, class of 2009. It's our first restaurant venture, so it's been interesting so far, and but we look to grow a little and improve on what they've been doing there. Our steak bomb is very popular. If anybody's hungry, you can come on in, and that's about it.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the board have any comments or anything?
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
And Aoife, everything's in order?
Yes, and they have also received all of their food permits and their inspections from the building department.
All right, very good. All right, well, congratulations. We wish you well. Hopefully come by and visit you as well.
Appreciate it.
Ben?
I'd make a motion to approve the request of Driscoll Pizza for a common victual license at 885 Main Street.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 5-0-0. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is concerning the Red Wing Diner. Ben, could I have a motion?
I would make a motion to open the public hearing for the license transfer.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 5-0-0. Aoife, do you want to provide with the update on this one?
Sure, so the buyer's attorney contacted the office late last week. They're just looking for a continuance of the public hearing. They're still working through some issues with the purchase and sale, but she informed me that they should have it cleared up by the end of this week.
Okay. All right, Ben, would you like to do the second motion?
So I would make a motion to continue the public hearing until the next select board meeting on March 12th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 5-0-0. All right, next item on the agenda is the discussion of MWRA water connection pump station. I think we believe we have Commissioner John Hassenjager from our water and sewer here this evening to talk on this.
Good evening.
All right, good evening, John. Well, so tonight we just received some new information. So about, first was the property on Mylod Street that we were looking at 2 location spots. And then last night, Sewer and Water voted to also investigate or pursue another area on Union, near Union and Route 1.
That was a parallel motion to our request
Okay.
here this evening.
And so this evening, what are you looking for this evening? As I stand right now, there's not a need to place a vote on that particular lot of Mylod until Sewer and Water has really decided where they're looking to put this pump station.
No, actually, we're depending on the town staff to find a site that meets our criteria. We're not engineers or DPW people, what have you, sewer people. So they've recommended sites to us. And they recommended the 2 sites, originally on Union Street, but the 2 sites on Mylard most recently that were, that met the criteria of themselves, the DPW, the town administration, and possibly the town of Norwood. So we are not picky about what the site is, we're picky about the timing. This has dragged on too long, and we feel that we have to be expeditious in proceeding, and we have to have the site so our engineer can finish their work about the site to allow us to move forward with our applications. So we're not fishing for sites, so to speak. We're hoping to get a designation for a site. The two sites on Mylard, and most of this was prepared by the staff, Jim Johnson and the sewer and water staff or the DPW staff, and they can speak to it. But basically, we're happy with the site proposal on the Mylard soccer area as well as the triangular adjacent piece, which is also, I guess, considered for soccer future use. We're not taking a whole site. These are multi-acre sites. We're talking about a couple hundred square feet of space for a small pump station. So we don't need to have some extended investigation further about sites. We know the locations. These would work with Norwood, so we simply need to be told. I guess the objection was between the two Mylard streets was an issue of title. And of course, that's always, whenever you do a real estate transaction, there's a title issue. In fact, if you want to get out of a real estate transaction, just tell your attorney and he'll claim there's a title issue. It's kind of an old joke about, no title's perfect, except in a title state where you can get title insurance. And you can certainly get title insurance in Massachusetts as well. But at any rate, there seemed to be pushback for the soccer area and the preference of whoever is involved that we take a location offered to us on the triangular piece at Mylard Street. And I guess we're hoping to get a vote on that. We voted, again, if this Mylard was going to be turned down this evening as a effort to keep the ball rolling, one of the commissioners offered a parallel vote to explore other sites or to explore Union Street, not Union Street, excuse me, Mert Street. It's a backup.
So John, this is where maybe I'm a little bit confused, because we were going to discuss tonight simply those two spots on Mylard, that triangular piece and that alternate piece, and it seemed that the triangular piece did not have the issues with the title. And then
Right.
last night, Sewer and Water took up to vote on another location.
No, that isn't correct.
You did not vote to
We
explore
had
that
a
other
parallel
location?
motion, and made it very clear that the motion was a backup motion, it's going to run in parallel to this, that if Mylard didn't
Work out this
go out
evening?
tonight, we'd start looking at the other site, or another site.
Okay. I'm going to open up this up to the select board here to ask any questions, or does anyone on the board have any questions concerning these locations?
I can start, I think generally, the idea of improving our infrastructure related to water is an important one. I was on the Water Commission with several of you, and so I support the concept, and I think the idea of going toward WRA water is a good one. So really, the sticking point is how much is it going to cost us, and how are we going to pay for it? And that's my question, is we have a general range, $5 to $7 million, and I would like to have a good sense of where the money's coming from. Is it going to be borrowing? Primarily borrowing, I assume, and is there room on the debt budget, and will there be a need to increase rates, and if so, by how much, and are you willing to do that?
Okay. Well, I guess this is philosophical in that if I were administrating a town or a government or whatever, in this situation, I would not be looking backwards. You don't drive a car looking in the rearview mirror. And this isn't a financial decision at all. This is an overarching decision about the future of the town. There's no dollar amount you can put on it. If you don't have potable water, you're going to have to shut the community down. There are risks. There's existential risks. I'll steal a word from the Democratic Dictionary about drinking water and water supply right now in Massachusetts and in metropolitan Boston area. And we're trying to deal with those. And this is an insurance policy. Glenn, I think we've talked about this before. The analogy is, you could choose not to have homeowners insurance on your home and save yourself $3,000. But if there's a fire and the house burns down, it's a catastrophic event.
Yeah, so you have
And
my
it's the
support.
same thing with
Yeah.
this. If we don't have a redundant water supply, and a well goes down, we've had well problems, we've had contaminations with metal bellows, we have railroad lines that run up next to our wells. There could be what happened in Ohio, where there's a train crash. So there are many potential things that could happen that would render the town really in a place of almost impossible recovery. So the dollars and cents really don't make much difference. I mean, I can go through that with you, but that's what we do with FinCom. We work on our capital budget, on our retained earnings, and our enterprise funds. And basically, there's a lever here. One of the risks is called PFAS, the forever contaminants. And I guess for people who don't know, PFAS, when they say forever contaminants, what's happened over the time, the same water that people have been drinking in Massachusetts for 200 years, now that they have bigger electron microscopes, they can look closer down into the water and they can find little things that people never knew were there before. So now they're bringing these out, that when I say they, the federal water bureaucracy, environmentalists, and claiming that these have to be removed. And they're coming out in tranches of 2, 3, 4, whatever. And no one seems to know what the next group is going to be, and the group after that, and the group after that. And these could cost untold amounts of money to try to filter these and deal with them. Medfield had recently had a PFAS in one well, and I guess it was $1 million to set up the right equipment to deal with PFAS. So we are told by the MWRA they don't have PFAS in their water because, and the people probably know there was development around Boston forever. Tanneries, we had companies like Bird Machine, heavy metal companies, processing chemical dyes. So there's a lot of things in the ground here. So there's a lot of contaminants winding up in the water supply. They get their water from Western Mass, where there were never these types of companies. They don't have the industrial history over their water sources, so to speak. So that's a big benefit in itself. But beyond that, just the development and preserving our existing wells. I guess the big thing is the invaluable resource we do have is a finite resource. It's not unlimited. We have one more potential well, which is out in the middle of the swamps up going Medfield Way, which would be very, very expensive to develop and very uncertain what its economic value would be and productivity, if it really would be a viable additional source.
John, I think the board here, we do support having a secondary option for water, for all the safety reasons that you have stated. I think our concern is more so, prior to voting on these parcels of land as a possibility in my lot, as Glenn just brought up, is the cost. But I do believe the select board and other select board members can speak, but we do support having a secondary water connection for the sake that we have if there was ever a need for it.
I don't think we're asking you to approve. I mean, we're a ways away from actually being accepted, having a proposal with the MWRA, and a point that we have all the ducks in a row and everything lined up, and they tell us yes or no, then we're going to be, town meeting's going to decide.
So I do want to get an answer to my
You don't have to decide,
financial
you're not going to
question.
decide today on this. We're
Yeah.
trying to move to the point of decision-making, and to get there, there's a lot of energy and effort and a lot of time involved and bundled in that undertaking. So we're interested in getting there and getting the option, putting on the table the town meeting. So this is not, and if it doesn't work out, we're happy to sign an agreement to rescind the future lot back to you. No one wants,
So John, I'm going to let some other select board members ask questions, but my question about how it's paid for is an important one. So,
Well,
but if
yeah.
you want to, Ally, go to somebody else.
but
first,
Glenn, you
that's
know
fine.
what the capital budget is, and you know what, people have put different figures in here. I'm not going to speak for them. We were told generally, I was told by your consultant, $4.5 million. Other people in the staff have estimated it's more than that. It could be to 6 plus a 25% contingency to make it up to 7. But that's the ballpark we're talking about, the whole thing from cradle to grave. not to get the site designated so we can get the proposal in front of town meeting and get the acceptance that we have the
I
opportunity.
did have some preliminary conversations with the town administrator today about the debt budget, but we really just kind of like scratched the surface. So I do want to talk about that a little bit more, because there is an impact to our borrowing. I know we have some things that are coming off the debt budget in the next few years, some things that are going on. We have some other projects that are going to take priority in town. This isn't the only capital item on the water and sewer budget for the 5-year plan. So there is a bigger conversation here about capital items and priorities and what's the order of things and what gets pushed off to the side in order to make way for this. I'm not saying it's not doable, I just want to have that conversation. And anyways, that's
Okay, I
where I'm at.
respectfully disagree with you. I don't think there's anything with higher priority than
That might be
what you're
true.
talking
I'm not
about.
saying there is
And there's-
necessarily,
It
but
isn't a
we,
financial decision at all.
yeah, but
The money, we have new growth in town. I mean, we can't debate that. I'd be happy to sit down with you and go through, educate you on all our information for 2 or 3 hours.
yeah,
Right.
I'm happy
I
to
can't
take
do
your
it here.
education. Thanks, John. Go ahead.
Mark?
So, John, I'm in favor, as Ally said, I'm very much in favor of a connection to MWRA. I'm comfortable with the Milet Street Triangle site. I did talk, as I came in here, to David Miles and Brad Hickey, current president and past president of Walpole Youth Soccer, and I know they're currently fundraising to build a parking lot at the bottom, at the Triangle site, basically. And, they said they don't see any problem with putting a pump house up near the street, and then as long as a driveway can go in and connect to the rest of the parking. So I think that site can work. Didn't hear any objections from the soccer guys. So I'm kind of in favor of figuring out what we would need to do to, tie up the site maybe, or move to the next step so that, the engineering firm can do the engineering on the pump house building. And then, I do understand, and, is the queue to get into the MWRA going to close in the next 6 months? I don't know, but it could, I guess, if there's other people trying to do the same thing. So I'm in favor of, if we need to tie up the site to continue to move forward, I'd be in favor of that.
Could I just say, for people at home, I mean, we're not asking you to tie up a site. I believe it's 11-acre site, isn't it?
Sorry,
We're
to say
talking
the
about a
site
couple
was.
hundred feet.
My
Couple hundred
mistake.
feet.
If we could carve out the portion where the pump house would need to be, that's really what I'm talking about. And then youth soccer could build their parking lot, and, there shouldn't really be any conflicts there.
And again, if you're, we're independent elected commissioners, so we have our own objectives. And, I mean, if you're certainly willing to analyze our budgets and capital
Yeah.
priorities, on your own, but from our point of view, this is where we're going, and we want to go there, and we need this designated location so we can complete the job of getting the opportunity on the table to the town. Okay? You're not making any decision to join the MWRA. They don't want you at the present time. They wouldn't accept you. You don't have an application. Don't have any standing. So we have to go through a long procedure to get to the place where you have the opportunity to save Walpole. Then you can vote yes or no.
And I would just jump in for the people at home who don't understand, the sewer and water commissioners are independently elected. They set the water rates, so the select board's not involved with the rate setting process at all. So that's what John was explaining right there at the end, so.
Yeah, we haven't said anything tonight as to why this Mylod site or the Triangle site that Mark was alluding to would be bad. I mean, I think it works for the soccer folks to the extent that it's taking up space. So I'm comfortable with voting on it. I haven't heard any reason why we shouldn't, but I don't know if, Jim Johnson has any other background on why we shouldn't take this up tonight or not, but I'm comfortable with it as well.
So, before we go to Jim, let me just jump in. So, when you were saying you hadn't heard any objections, I did see, Pradeep, I saw your hand go up. Does that mean there are objections? Yes. So I guess I would like to hear what those objections are, if there are some. And Bill as well. Me too. Perfect, okay,
I just
thank
want
you.
to point out, the commissioners are the commissioners are posted tonight, so they can't deliberate.
Okay,
Great.
thanks, Jim.
Pradeep Mishra, RTM Precinct 1 and Commissioner on Water and Sewer Board. I'm here today to basically give some my inputs on the Mylord Field site and raise my concern. The concern mainly is for the cost. I think initially when we said Mylord is good for our water pump, we didn't know there's this lot of restrictions for us to put where. And our assumption was that it will be next to the Norwood border. But when we received other proposals, the cost breakdown has a $800,000 cost for putting the pump station other side of the field, for 2,000 feet of pipeline. That does not make sense to at least me, because $800,000, we can buy a lot anywhere with that money without putting a 2,000 feet of pipes. That's a concern about the Mylord Street. That's why I requested in yesterday meeting to have a look at the other site, Union Street site, whether that makes sense without putting a pipe going through the open field all the way to other side just because we don't have a deed there to put a pump station. So that's one thing. The second issue which was raised was whether there is an objection to the parking lot in that triangle area. So I did speak to my neighbors. I am a resident of that area, and they have raised concern about the parking lot being there. One of the resident is here, so he'll voice his concern. So I request you to basically have a public hearing before you decide about parking lot on the Mylord Street. And about the pump station, I think I'm on par with the board and your team to find out a suitable location, but it should look into the cost also, like whether you want to build it more efficiently at Union Street or Mylord Street. So that's my position on it.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Can I just clarify something?
Yes.
So there's two proposed locations at Mylod, one out near the street and one that we refer to as the triangle, right? So you're saying that you are in favor of either the Mylod one near the street or possibly this other location. You're not in favor of the one that's in the triangle location?
That's correct, yeah.
Because it's further from the street, so you have additional pipe.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I was going to call Commissioner Abbott. Could you come forward and speak on this?
Bill Abbott, a member of the Sewer and Water Commission. I'm still in favor of the Mylod site. In answer to your question, Glenn, when we establish or set the rates, and I'm just basing on what's being proposed for FY 25, roughly, well, our budget being proposed is like $6,220,000, $1 million. Of that, around $5,664,000 is come from rates. If it's $7 million, you're adding $468,000 roughly that has to come from the rates somehow. And that would be around a 13% increase. How it would be shifted between the tiers, could you do something else, a flat rate that per bill, which was recommended a long time ago by the Abrams Commission, used by others. But I mean, still, it's somehow, you're expecting to come up with another $468,000 if it's 7 million.
That's with borrowing for 30 years
Yes, for the next 30 years, and it would be
and no
consistent.
retained earnings and.
Right.
Just
And if
pure
it's $5,000, it would be $330,000 for the next 30 years.
It's 5 million.
So, and again, that would be, if it was that, that would mean about an 0.4% additional amount that would have to come from user fees.
There are also some items falling off your debt budget, too, that might help alleviate that.
Not for a long time. I mean, I was looking at what was provided, and I just went out to FY '30, and none of them, of the current items, are dropping off that I see.
Bigger ones, make it bigger.
The only, and John mentioned the Minebrook 2, the last estimate of that cost that we got was 20 months ago, and the amount was, I get that for you, I believe was $3.8 million. 20 months have passed. I'm sure it's over 4 million now. It has a lot of problems in terms of, as John mentioned, it's out in the swamp. I don't know, Glenn, did we ever get out there?
I think about if you want
Yeah,
to.
it's 1,600 feet from the treatment plant. You'd have to do horizontal drilling and all. Also, that area, the entire aquifer, actually both of our aquifers, have been rated as being very stressed. They have categories 1 to 5. Both of them are a 5, which would present some ecological implications, and we'd certainly be fought by the Neponset River watershed folks in increasing the well.
With that as an alternative, you would.
That is an alternative.
At $4 million and the uncertainties, you're supportive of the connection to
I'm
Norwood,
supporting the
as opposed to developing a
Mylod
well.
site. Not only does it, I mean, the cost, it's going to be a little bit more. We're going to go to the Water Resources Commission and try and get permission for a $2 million, so that at some point later on, if we're accepted, we don't have to go through the whole process again. But our intent right now is just to go for 1 million gallons a day. So I think the Mylod site is the best site. If we just keep postponing and postponing, the time will run out. What's particularly important right now is we're already about 2 years into the waiving of the MWA entrance fee, which for 1 million gallons a day is roughly 4.5 million. I mean, right now, if we're talking 5 to 7, if we waited, if there's even availability, you'd add another 4.5 million on top. So if we're going to do it, now's the optimal time.
And that 1 million gallons a day, it's not a minimum, it's not a requirement. You could do 100,000 gallons a day.
Right.
But it's a maximum of 1 million gallons a day. They're not going to mandate that you pay for X
It's-
number of gallons.
It's a little unclear as to whether, is it the average for the year or whatever? I mean, some have, obviously, if you have a drought or whatever, you're probably going to use more. And
Or in
it's
July and
tougher
August,
to hold that back. But, yeah, the MWA and their policies would periodically review to see, are you taking more than you had been allocated, and would have to address that, but.
And if I could just, one more follow-up, Bill. So you mentioned the $468,000 in the capital budget being added to the capital budget, and that would need to be made up somewhere. And you mentioned, I think you said a capital improvement fee, if I'm saying that right, added to individual bills as one option.
Some places do have a capital fee in their rate structure. The thing I was referencing is something that the Abrams report mentioned, was a per-bill fee. In other words,
Sure, yeah.
you know, you have, the fact that you have access to water, it does cost a certain amount, you know, just overhead.
You call it whatever you want, but a fee
Would-
nonetheless. And that's something that is on the table. I guess that's where I was going with that, is
Well, we haven't discussed it currently, but now that we're going to be faced, if we go this route, with some substantial rate increases, you're looking to see, well, is there other ways of doing it? The idea of a flat rate impacts the low water user, because all of a sudden, they're going to have a fixed thing and then at a lower rate, and the higher water user benefits in that fixed rate is a very small portion of their entire bill. But that's really a whole nother subject. I guess the main thing is, are there things that we can do to cover whether it's 300 and something thousand or 468,000,
Right.
depending what the end cost is. That's something that we will have to.
You haven't talked about it at length, but you will at some
No,
point.
we will, and I think
Yeah.
Bill's kind of a worrywart on there. I mean, basically, 400.
I am.
400
You can blame me if you want.
460,000 is not a big deal, and we haven't factored in new growth. And you have, what, 600, 800 new units coming on this year
Okay,
in town. So you're gonna be selling more water, gonna get more revenue. There are other methodologies
I have one
To-
other question.
to tweak the bills and
John,
to
not
cover
to,
the capital
not to interrupt you
costs.
guys, I really appreciate the cost conversation and the rates. Going back to, and I apologize again for interrupting, going back, so there's these two locations at Mylod, and it seems generally that people are, or the commissioners support the location at, nearer the street. Is that one an issue at all for the soccer folks? Is it the one in the back more preferable, or like how?
We're talking about the triangle piece of land, I just wanna make sure we're.
I don't know, I'm just
Yes,
looking at the
yes.
thing on my.
The piece, the triangle piece is a parcel that we can move forward with somewhat easily. The other portion on my lot is where there's title issues.
That's the title.
And that
Okay.
would be a more extensive process to try to have it placed there.
So between the two, the
But
one,
the triangle parcel, there were two pieces identified on that map.
oh, okay,
One up
okay.
by the street.
Yeah.
And then one at the bottom of what would be a long driveway
Well, that's what we're
down near the
looking at.
railroad track.
Right.
So
So there's really kind of three locations.
there are.
Okay.
But I think, go ahead, Dave, I don't want
Yeah,
to
I-
speak
I-
for you.
Can I speak to, yeah, so from, just to kind of give a little bit of background, right? So Walpole Youth Soccer, we have about nine.
Yeah, we actually do need you to, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the mic and just introducing yourself real quick.
Yep. So, Dave Miles, I'm the president of Walpole Youth Soccer. So just to give a little bit of background on Walpole Youth Soccer. So, we have about 950 kids that are, from kindergarten to high school age, participating in our programs. We run both fall and spring programs. And then we run them at Mylod and other fields here in town. Parking is a real issue for us at Mylod. It always has been. We've had our programs have grown. We've actually had to restrict the growth of our programs because we just don't have the parking to do it. And we also aren't able to really use our fields as efficiently. So we could have if we had more parking, we could run more games. We could have more kids participate. We could run more games at the same time. And so, from our standpoint, right, putting a pump station on the existing parking lot, would be disruptive, and that would take away parking that's already limited from our standpoint. Moving over to the other parcel, the undeveloped triangle piece, right? It's not an engineer, but we're comfortable with what the proposal was to have it close to the road. And I think that hopefully would resolve some of the concerns about extra piping. We just, our need is that we need to be able to have an access, a two-way access point to be able to get to the parking lot in the back. And that way it's safe for everyone. So that's our main concern. We're happy to give up some parking spots in the front if that makes everything work.
Thanks, Dave. So that's literally what's shown here in the inset that we're looking at, and I guess people from home can't see, but there is literally a driveway shown next to so there is the space there to do that. Okay.
And I would say that possibly if, you're talking about the existing soccer parcel now, is that correct?
No, the triangle,
The triangle one.
Okay, because if they wanted to, if it was a matter of saving the piping costs from one site to the other, we could possibly agree to provide some revenue on from the cost savings of the contribution to the efforts, the soccer parking lot.
Sure.
But if they're adamant that they're going to lose a couple parking spaces, they don't want it there. I mean, I understand what Pradeep's saying about I think it's possibly, I'm not sure if it's the aesthetics with the people coming out from Toll Brothers onto Mylard, that they're looking at that, or I don't know exactly what the pushback is on that. But everybody benefits from the water. This is a utility function. It's not like, you know, it shouldn't be negotiable as some kind of aesthetic amenity. It's a necessity.
Sure, so I guess what we're kind of weighing then is the one location has title issues possibly, and the other one could cost more because there's pipe that needs to be put in. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
I mean, I
Bill,
would
I'm
say
gonna
on the
let
triangle piece,
Pradeep,
we'd
I'm
like
gonna
to be
let
in
Bill
the
speak
front.
First, and then.
And we'd like to
I do have one more.
make
This-
sure that we have control
Yeah,
of the piece that we're planning, because we're spending all our money on that piece into the
Right.
Norwood and everybody else. We don't want something to change on that.
Right.
Even though it's a few hundred feet, we want absolute control.
right.
Bill, did you have something else to add?
Yes. My favor is the triangle piece and having the pump station at the front. And I think that would be better from a safety standpoint, is that most of the year, there isn't a lot of activity there. Why have, and we have to access probably on a daily, we access all our wells on a daily basis. Why would you have open to go way into the back? As opposed to having, you just get off the street, you can have a gate so that no one can, in off-season, go any further. If it even was in the existing parking lot, you'd still have an amount of water main. It's only the additional to go a little bit further to get to the triangle that is the difference between the two. But if you can avoid the issues with the deed and all, it's better to be in the triangle and to be up front.
So this is not an open hearing. I am going to allow you to come up and speak on this matter as a neighbor, so please come forward, and if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and letting us know where you're from.
So, my name is Kumar Balasubramanian. I am a neighbor in the Mylord Toll Brother community. I know the need for the town water, and I also appreciate what the Walpole Soccer Association does in terms of, the soccer for the kids in the town. My children have gone through that same program. Now they are out of college and they are doing their business at life. I do have one concern that I'm expressing on behalf of not just myself, but also on behalf of many of the neighbors in the community. Have we done, other than, I can't speak to the engineering aspect of, the triangle lot or the other lot that is in consideration, but certainly have we looked at, with regards to the parking, right? Have we looked at alternatives for, sort of overflows that happens to happen once in, a couple of seasons in a year, like maybe 14 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever it is, by using some alternative sites rather than trying to destroy a whole bunch of old growth that's out there for the purposes of, building a parking lot. I can't speak to the sort of the water pump needs and all that stuff and where it can go, et cetera. But I certainly do want to, sort of place my objection with regards to destroying a whole bunch of old growth just to accommodate parking lot out there. And I would strongly urge people to consider alternatives such as side street parking. There are several streets out there that can accommodate cars, and people should consider that as an opportunity as well. I don't know what options were evaluated for that. So I just want to place my objection on that.
Thank you.
So I could just like to speak to that. I believe they'd have to go for a site plan with the planning board if the Walpole Youth Soccer decides to pursue this, and if the sewer and water commissioners pursue this too. So as far as the neighborhood concerns down on ND and Mansion Drive there, those will be allowed to be addressed in a public session.
Okay. Jim, did you have more to add?
I do, and thank you for, Pradeep and Bill for speaking. It's helpful to get the holistic view of, where the conversation is. So I've been supportive of the notion of accessing MWA water for a long time. I agree with the perspective that we need a redundant source of water. So philosophically, I'm totally on board with that. Where I'm struggling a little bit is my original understanding of this was that the waiving the fees, which is like $4.5 million, was going to roughly pay for the installation of the facility. It feels as though it's not, and that's okay. Costs go up, and as we get deeper into understanding things, we know that prices go up. So that by itself is not a huge issue, but what might be an issue for me is I want to know where this sits in the priority of things. So let's just take a step back and say we're not saying we want to go to MWRA and then abandon the Walpole wells. What we're saying is this is in addition to. But you have the PFAS question. And in your capital plan, you do list some form of PFAS remediation that you're expecting to do in 2025, also to the tune of $7 million. And then you've got a much bigger capital plan that includes replacing pipe, the good things you always do, right? And if you add it all up, I think it's about $40 million. It's a big number. So what I would really want to know, and John, I know what you're saying about the financials, but we do have a responsibility here as a board to ask these questions and have the answers. I think it's going to be important for us to understand how this 7 million, and if that's the number, then that's the number, but how does that fit into the overall scheme of priorities here? It sounds high, like based on everything you guys are saying, it's way up the top. That's good, but what does that then mean for the rest of the priorities? Because we can't ignore the fact that you've got $40 million in capital requests piled up here. So that's important.
Well, hold on.
Yep.
I mean, that's a several-day recent phenomena presented by Mr. Johnson. We haven't vetted that or authorized it or approved or even agreed to any of it. So the
Just
$7
would
million
like-
for
I'd like to correct
PFAS
the
is
record
like
on
out
that
of the,
one.
out of the.
That was
thin air.
actually in the capital booklet that was presented to town meeting in the fall as part of the 5-year plan. So just to correct the record on that, John, that's where I got
You've
this.
recommended that, and we've never vetted that.
It was vetted by the capital budget committee and presented to town meeting as part of the booklet. It was sent out to all of the residents.
We don't have any of those specifics, Jim.
So,
I said, that's way over.
Okay.
It's almost, I'm just gonna say this. This is almost an intent to derail this project. And this is a cute way
I
to
don't-
make the finances
believe
look
that is-
impossible. And this isn't about finances, and there is no finance issue here. There's a $460,000 addition to capital budget that will be absorbed and dealt with by the commission.
John,
and
each member of our
operations.
select board sat here, and we have said, we support having a second hookup to another water source. We want to protect Walpole water. Each select board member supports that. We really just need to find the location and what is going to appropriate and the time frame. So again, when we began this conversation last night, Water and Sewer voted on seeking out another location. I think this is where we paused.
No, we didn't.
Is that there's multiple
I'm
locations.
sorry, we did not do that. Again, it was very clear this was a paramount move, and it's out of frustration of meetings just like this, where the can gets kicked down the road again. We're at the end of the time frame. The Gantt charts keep getting stopped and stopped and stopped. We're not getting there. There's no progress on, you can say what you want about the other, it's not gonna be available to you. And I think at some point, very soon, we're gonna fold the tents up, and we're gonna find out the blame of the people who were stonewalling this and stopping it, and they're gonna have to live with the responsibility of killing that opportunity for the town of Walpole for now to the end of time. Because that's what we're getting. We have an engineer right now doing survey of that site as we're talking, of Mylard, and we're still getting the spin on not being able to tell it that we're gonna be on the Mylard Street location for a couple hundred feet. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Mr.
I
Abbott,
want
did
some
you have-
action from you
do
people.
You have one more item to address? Or Bill, did you have anything else to add?
I'll just hold for a
Okay.
while.
All right.
So if I could, because I feel like I was interrupted there. So what I would say is this, I am interested in knowing what the board, not just your view, John, but what your board says about the list of priorities. And so what I would ask you to do is come back to us and say, here's how we're gonna pay for this set of priorities, whatever they are. And it's not an insignificant question because of the potential impact for the water rates. So I think it is important that we have that conversation. And again, I will say that I am 100% supportive of connecting to the MWRA as a redundant water source. I've been saying that, I'll continue to say that. But it is our responsibility to understand how much it's gonna cost and how we're gonna pay for it. People expect that. So what I would be looking for from your board is I'd like you to make sure you're all on the same page in terms of the location, because it feels like there's at least some discussion about that. So a vote from your board that says we want to go to the Triangle on Mylott Street would be very helpful. And then I'd like to know, where does this sit in the scheme of priorities, so that when we have to drop things off the priority list because we can't pay for them, we're dropping the right things. And again, I think that's a vote your board should take, to come back to us and say, we voted, and these are the things that are most important to us, and this is how we're gonna pay for them. I think if we do those things, we can move this thing forward. But my worry is that we keep going around in circles on this thing. And it's not because I or anybody on this board is obstructionist, we're not. We're supportive of getting this done. What we're asking you to do is help us get there. And the things you're gonna have to do is take the votes that I'm suggesting and then come back and say, here's the site, here's how we're gonna pay, here's the priority, and here's what we're gonna pay for it. And if you can do those things, I think you'll find a lot of support on this board.
Well, Jim, no one's accusing any of you board members of being obstructionists. The obstruction's coming from elsewhere. You're not hearing the timing. I'm just going to tell you, we voted on this a number of times. There is no uncertainty that board is willing to absorb in the pricing structure and in the rate setting the enhanced expenses in the capital budget to absorb this process. And it's a process that I think the budget you were shown here is also compressed in time. I don't think it's going to happen all that fast. So there's not an issue with that. We're going to deal with it. We have new growth revenues coming in, and we'll deal appropriately with the rates. But to kick this, I had asked for this meeting, I think it was February 2nd. Today is February 27th. There's another month gone by. It just keeps rolling with no progress. And this is the end. We're at the end. If the town, after 4 years of telling us they had a site, can't show us the site and can't give us the piece so we can go to the next step, then the town isn't interested. And people,
What is the next sewer and waters meeting?
Second Monday
Second.
in the month. We meet second and fourth Mondays each month.
Okay, then
Monday, I don't know
if
what
the
the date
select
is.
board is
The
comfortable with
7th, maybe?
this,
No.
Well, the fifth
Fifth,
is a
the
Tuesday,
6th.
so this would be the, it sounds like
The 11th? The 11th is the second Monday,
11th, yeah.
is it? Okay.
and then we meet on the 12th.
all right.
This board meets on the 12th.
So, there's a number of select board members that still have some questions. I feel like we can set this to put back on the agenda on the 12th and be ready to place a vote on this. Is that?
Well, I would just say,
Yeah.
assuming that,
That
John, you
it's-
and your board do the things that we're asking for, that you come back and be able to answer these questions, I think
Yeah,
then
you're
we'll
saying
be
we
in a
didn't
good
do them,
spot.
Jim. What is it you want now?
So I'd like a vote on the location, because there seems to be at least some
We've
debate
already
in
done
your
that.
board on the location. It doesn't have to be unanimous, but it needs to be a vote.
Well, we're giving you 3, and we give you a 4th one if you want.
I
We're
think
not,
what
we're not being
we're-
picky. We'll
What we're
take
really
what you
seeking,
give us.
so as, as one parcel of land has the title issue and one parcel is that triangular land, a very specific vote from the water and sewer of which parcel of land you really are seeking our support for. So,
I wish the staff would help us, because the town administrator and the town attorney could easily go and get us a title insurance policy and cover up the problem with the one site. The staff can help get this all done for you. You're asking us things the staff should be doing. And I can't get in their minds, and they tell me for years that they have a Union Street site for us, and then at the end of the day, they don't have a Union Street site for us, and we have to go to Mylard, and then Mylard's confused because they don't have title, and then the soccer, it's one thing after the other. And so, I mean, basically, why don't you bring me the site? And we'll say yes. How's
Well,
that?
how about this? Do you have a posted meeting here tonight?
Yes.
Yeah,
You could take that vote right now.
sure.
You guys want to go off and have a conversation and come back and tell us the location?
I told you, we voted this. Is this not right, Bill? We voted the triangle piece, the other soccer piece, and Mert Street. Those are the things that we
I
could,
don't
the only ones that
remember
we have on the table.
I don't remember the Mert Street being discussed because I've been totally
Okay.
opposed to that. But certainly, if we wish, we have all, no, we have 4 of the 5. And
Oh, Jeff's here, okay.
we could vote, and, I would be expressing for the triangle piece, the lot at the front. And I have been working on details as to what the actual rate increases magnitude, and then looking and saying, okay, if you're in tier one, how many dollars does that mean? And, you know, it's real money, but, you know, without putting it into a context of, you know, if it's $2 and I double the price, well, it's only up $1 or $2, you know, it's,
Yep.
now, we can come up with that sort of thing, or I can anyways.
Okay. That would be enormously helpful if you would do that. So, we've got some additional business to do. If you guys,
Yeah,
Chair,
no, I think it's,
I don't want to speak for you, but
yeah.
But you know where I'm going, is if you want to, since you're posted, you guys could go off and have some discussion amongst yourselves. You could take a vote, come back and tell us what the vote is. I'd be prepared to say that, and again, this is just me, the rest of the board may have different points of view, but I'd be prepared to take a vote tonight to say whatever you come back, assuming it's the triangle piece, and I think that's where you're gonna be going, but that I'd be willing to get behind that. But I would do it also with the understanding that you're gonna come back to us and talk to us about these other things. If that helps move this along, then I think that's reasonable. So, anybody object to that?
I don't have any objection.
No, I
to
like that idea.
So, why don't you let us go ahead, Bill, I'm sorry.
Well, I just have a.
Sorry.
No, that's our,
reality question. When we posted our meeting, did we tell where we were going to meet, and if we move off somewhere, are we?
I'll tell you what.
running afoul, or
We can take a break and let them,
So no, I have it right here.
okay.
where did it say we were meeting?
Members of the Sewer and Water Commissioners are present at the Select Board meeting on February 27th at 7 PM for the purpose of discussing the MWR in connection with Island Street.
I was more
just
concerned
Unfortunately,
if
it was
we have
posted,
a
no
lot of
votes are
firefighters up
expected to be
there.
taken
Oh,
by
okay.
the Board of Sewer and Water Commissioners.
Oh, okay, so we would have an issue there.
So they would have to place their vote here in this room.
It specifically
That's
said
fine.
no votes.
So what,
No votes.
okay.
That's not a big
The
deal.
only part that I'm concerned about is if we have a number of members of our Wappel Fire Department out in the hallway waiting for what is next on our agenda.
It's not expected.
If
We
I
can
could,
take, we can take a vote, whatever you want, we'll come up with the terminology for it, non-binding, whatever vote, so you can move to the next step, because we want some commitment from you on land tonight, okay? I don't want to stop the engineer, stop the process, it's gonna get ugly.
Bill, yes.
I'd like to make a.
Can you come, Bill, could you come to the mic, just to really make sure that we're,
I'd like to make a motion for the Sewer and Water Commissioners who are present, that the site that we select is the triangle piece off of Mylod Street, with the building to be located close to the street as opposed to further back.
Second that motion. I object to the vote. It's not posted for public voting today. We were just here to listen to the side. So I object to the vote.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Pradeep opposed.
Abstain? Okay, 3-1-0.
okay.
You
so,
have your vote.
if I could now,
Yeah.
so thank you, that's very helpful. What I would think we could do, and we should, let's discuss that, but it seems to me is they now have voted a location. I think we could take a vote to accept that recommendation, but I would like them to come back to us and talk about, that this is the top priority and how we're gonna pay for it. And so that when other things become less important, that's not a surprise to anybody.
Does any of the board members have a comment to make on this?
Make that a date, sir, prior to town meeting.
Okay.
So,
You want to make that a motion?
Yes, and Jim just reminded me we should make that a date certain, so prior to town meeting. So what would be a reasonable date, do you think?
prior to May 1st.
Prior to May 1st? Okay. So I'm going to try and frame this motion.
Patrick, do you have,
Yes, we usually include the capital plan in the booklet, so.
So if they get back, I think we'll have enough time, yeah. They're gonna have to consider.
May 1st.
Yeah, so that's why it gives them 2 months to get it, yeah.
So I would move that the select board accept the recommendation from the Sewer and Water Commissioners for the, I'm going to refer to it as the triangle piece of land, as the site for a pumping station to facilitate the connection to the MWRA. I would add to the motion that before May 1st, which is the date Jim has suggested, that the Sewer and Water Commission come back and tell us about the prioritization of this project with respect to the rest of the projects, and what the implications for this project are in terms of the water rates and borrowing. Does that work?
Seconded.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote.
I'm going to
Okay.
abstain because I'm still involved with youth soccer, so
Very
I
good.
can't be involved in that vote.
All right, we have a vote 4-1-0. 4-0.
401.
401, yeah.
4-0-1. Glenn, yeah,
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Okay.
all right.
Thanks for coming in.
Sorry,
Thanks, guys.
not trying to make this difficult, but trying to do it right.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
The fire trucks did drive away. I wonder if they got a call.
I know.
I heard it's going off next door, they have a scanner in there,
Okay.
so I think they must have gotten.
Yeah.
But there's still some in the hallway.
There's still some.
Okay.
I'll let Paul know. Yeah.
I think he's in all, I just remember, I think.
You want to take a short break while
We
we
can,
get organized?
do you want to
to
go to
Tessie's?
consent agenda?
Well, move stuff up, yeah.
What
Yeah,
does
we'll
this-
wait for them. Being it's past the time of 7:35, it does not look like anyone is here for open forum tonight. So we will move on.
Do Tessie's if you like.
Well,
Oh, yeah, later, yeah.
yes. The next item on the agenda is to appoint Luke Anya for position of firefighter paramedic, and we have Chief Barry here to speak on this matter.
Good evening and thank you. Here before you tonight to request you consider my recommendation of Luke Gagne for appointment to the Walpole Fire Department. Luke presented very well during our interview process. He's highly recommended and is described as an honest and hardworking individual. He's a full-time Massachusetts Fire Academy graduate. He is also working towards his paramedic schooling now. Pleased to introduce Luke Gagne to the board to expand upon my short introduction and answer any questions you may have.
Very good,
Thanks.
thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. As you said, my name's Lou Gagne. I've worked in EMS for a little over 5 years now. Before that, I was a finished carpenter for 6 years, and want to take everything I learned in that and contribute it to career in fire and working for the town of Walpole.
All right, we are excited to have you join us. Any board members have any comments or?
I would just say, looking forward to working with you, and congratulations. It's great to have you coming on board. Well done.
Thank you.
I'd just say congratulations. You know, you've got a great resume, so look forward to seeing you join the team, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Luke, and welcome to the department.
All right, Ben.
I'd make a motion to appoint Lou Gagne to the position of firefighter paramedic.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 5-0-0. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome to Walpole.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
All
Jim.
right,
you.
thanks, guys.
Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
Block on the wall is off. I
I was gonna say, I hope
Yeah,
we're
if we
waiting that
wait,
long.
to be honest.
15 past. All right.
They had to wait a
All right,
solid
now we
30
can
minutes.
move along. As I said, we open forum. It is past the time of 7:35, but no one is here for that this evening, so we will move on to new business. First item is Tessie's Bar and Grill for amendment to the entertainment license. Aoife, do you have anything on this to
Sure,
add?
so they reached out a couple of weeks ago, they're looking to expand on their entertainment license to include live music, additional televisions, Sunday entertainment, and this obviously is part of their expansion into the space next door. I spoke with Mark during the week, and I know everybody's anxious to hear when they're opening, so he is very hopeful that they will be open for St. Patrick's Day weekend.
And my only question is, do we put a timing on this for live music? I think we did,
So I can.
that, it's downtown, I think at Jalapenos, we also put a timing on that. Did we do that?
I think I can check what we have for Raven's Nest. I think they might have put 11 o'clock in their application. So I know from speaking with Maura, their plan is they wouldn't have entertainment in two spaces at the same time. They're not going to obviously compete against each other. So the idea would be every other night, or, you know, other nights on the weekend. So one night it would be in Raven's Nest, the other night it would be in Tessie's. The building department did have, conduct a limited site plan review with police and fire. There's obviously no issues with this space in comparison to with Jalapenos, because there's no tenants above, or there's no residential above, so they don't have the same problems.
Okay, very good. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right, Ben?
I'd make a motion to approve the entertainment license for Tessie's Bar and Kitchen to include 6 televisions, stream music, live music, and Sunday entertainment.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 5-0-0. The next item is a vote for the spring 2024 town meeting warrant. Jim, do you have an
So
update on this
just
one?
looking for a couple votes here. Vote to sign the 2024 town meeting warrant for the spring. And second, I'd like to run through 4 articles with you that FinCom voted on last night. So would you like to vote to sign the warrant first, then I can run through?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I would make a motion to sign the spring 2024 town meeting warrant.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote, 5-0-0.
Is this yours or mine?
Maybe yours.
So if you're okay, while you sign that, I can run through the 4 articles the town meeting considered last night. So Article 8 is in regards to unpaid bills. Right now, we have no unpaid bills that we know of. I'd recommend favorable action on that. FinCom, actually, no action on that article. FinCom voted no action, 12-0-0.
Anyone have any questions for Bill or Jim on that?
Nope.
All right, Ben?
I'd make a motion to recommend no action on Article 8.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is a vote, 5-0-0.
Second item up is Walpole Media Corp budget. You may recall that these funds are distributed from the town to Walpole Media Corp. Finance Committee listened to Tamara from Walpole Media Corp last night, recommended favorable action, 12-0-0 on that article.
Does anyone have any questions concerning that article?
Nope.
I'd make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 9.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. It is a vote, 5-0-0.
Sure. Next item up is solar on town facilities. You may recall that 2 years ago, we took a vote to allow solar on Old Post Road School roof, Fisher roof, and the canopy at the Johnson Middle School. So after doing some due diligence on this, we figured we'd try to go get a catch-all for some of the newer buildings that are coming online, specifically the middle school roof in the parking lot and the high school roof whenever that's done, and surrounding parking lots. We also included the SM LaRusso Field Complex, Center Fire Station roof and parking lot, Police Department, Town Hall roof and surrounding parking lots, Jarvis Farm. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to go forward and do this all right away, but this allows us to do that in the future without having to go back to town meeting. They're granting permission to do it. So.
Anyone have any questions concerning this article?
I have
Jim?
a couple. So I'm very in favor of this, but I love the idea of putting solar panels on top of buildings or on top of structures. I do wonder about where they would go at the south, the LaRusso Field Complex and the Jarvis Farm, for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is, want to make sure those areas are kept open for additional recreational kinds of activities. So I guess I'd like to understand a little bit more where, the where of that question.
The expectation specifically for the Jarvis Farm is the parking lot. It's something that the commissioners have been asking for about a year or so, specifically in that parking area, not in the field area. In the SM LaRusso complex, it's specifically in the parking areas. I can actually since you're signing the warrant tonight, I could specify that field complex parking areas.
And would they be on the ground or on
There
structures?
would be, my vision that there'd be canopies, so,
Okay,
yeah.
so you'd still be, you're not giving up any parking?
No.
This would be, yeah, see, that's good. I'm all for that.
And to
Okay.
Jim's point, there's additional acreage of woods that we wouldn't necessarily want to turn into a solar panel
Exactly, yeah,
farm,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
want to keep that available.
exactly.
So if you'd like, I'll clarify that and just add
That'd be
parking
awesome.
areas.
Yeah, I
No
think
problem.
putting solar panels on structures makes a whole lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, any other questions on that article? Ben? Do you have to set
So
options?
I would make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 11.
I'll second that.
Excuse me,
That's
I screwed up.
Article 2, yeah.
I would make a motion, I would retract my previous motion. I would make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 10.
Do you want to clarify it now, or are you just going to work that into the
We
document?
can work that in, yeah.
Okay. As amended. I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You have a vote 500.
And last one is a change to general bylaw, section 83 of, 88-3 of the general bylaws. The request here is to delete the words "shall be distributed to each residence" and add in the language "be posted in the town official website with hard copies at the town hall, library, Walpole Community South Street Center." FinCom added that last night, and available upon request from the town administrator and town clerk. So we're just mostly looking at, we have a budget of about $15,000 for copying and printing, looking to reduce that by a considerable amount. So
And what was the vote?
it was, I believe, Larry and Josette objected to it, so I believe it was 10-2.
Does anyone have any questions on this? I know we discussed this a little bit, I feel like.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Common sense. I'd make a motion to recommend favorable action on Article 11.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. We have a vote 500.
So Jim, in a related topic for the future, I did see in the municipal, whatever they're calling the thing that came out from the state with changes, they did mention specifically that the town, the annual report does no longer have to be printed. It can be available. So just something for all of us to think about that. I know that's a big expense as well.
Yeah.
Printing up thousands of copies of that, so
That'd be
we might
great.
want to consider doing the same thing.
Could certainly do that. Yeah, that would save on our printing. Everybody views it online. I looked it up last night online to look up one of the votes, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so those are the only articles to take
That's it
up.
for now. Yeah.
Okay. And next item would be consent agenda.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent items as listed on the February 27th agenda.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have a vote 500. Town administrators update.
Sure, just a few items here. Finance Committee, they met last night. They started going through all the articles. They're set again to meet on March 7th with the sewer and water, to review the sewer and water budgets. I'm hopeful after tonight's discussion, there'll be some updates for them to review. And they're on again towards the end of the month to consider the general budget and the FY '24 operating budget, if there's any changes needed there. Snow and ice, right now, snow and ice is doing very well. We have a balance of $520,000 in there. So looks, knock on wood, we will have, close out the winter in a strong way for sure. Zoning amendments, planning board set to hold their public hearing on Article 12 and 13. 12 is going to be on March 21st. 13, which is the MBTA Communities Bylaw, is April 4th. And we'll be sure to make sure that they get plenty of information on that. There's a lot of developments with the town of Milton, so it's kind of, let's see what that test case is and be able to present some of the negatives of not going forward with this. So looking forward to that. And primary election, Liz and her team are doing a great job getting prepared for that next week. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And just kudos to Liz and her staff down there. That's it.
Does anyone have any questions for Jim?
I do. So, So Article 12, the inclusionary zoning, is being sponsored by the planning board.
They agreed to sponsor it.
Right.
yes.
Right. And then Article 13 is sponsored by us.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And we haven't received any questions from the planning board.
No, they delegate, I believe Phil's the representative on that committee? The steering committee?
The steering committee? Okay. All right. Not that I anticipate hearing anything in advance of the public hearing, I'm sure it'll all come avalanching out at that point, but, we may consider posting that April 4th as a meeting for us as well. I mean, we're the ones, sponsoring it, right? So I don't know if we want to be there. It's a long ways off. It's something we can all think about, but it may be something we want to do.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
That's it. Thanks, Jim.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One
Yes, Jim.
really quick thing. We're starting to get toward the spring, and I'm thinking about Route 1A and the state finishing the project that seems to be never-ending. Have we had any conversations with them as, in terms of when they're gonna start up and when they expect to be done?
We have not heard from their contractor in a long time, so let me reach out. I'll provide an update at the
That'd
next,
be great.
it's part of your weekend update, but I'll provide it under TA update at the next meeting.
Thank you.
The weather certainly is
looks
favorable
like it.
for construction right now.
Yeah, you get a day like today and you can't help but wonder.
Yeah.
I did get asked by 2 people this
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
about Route 1A, so,
Yeah, it's time to finish it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I would make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. We have a vote, 500. Thank you.